Everyone, so as you can see, I went ahead and blocked her. Now, if you want to learn how I block or why I block, the link down here, and you'll be directed to my video about blocking and cleaning hand-tied lace fronts. Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys a quick little style and a quick tiny little haircut on this wig. Now, what I'm going to do today is, since I'm going to wear her out this weekend, I want a little more drama in the front. Now, there is a bit of a layer through the ends of this hair, but there really isn't much of one in the front. So what I would like to do is I want to cut a little bit of a long bang and an angle into the front just to kind of break up the solid straight line on the bottom so I can get a nice flick around my face. Since I'm going to wear this wig multiple times, I'm not going to cut it with just one part in mind. So I'm going to cut it so that I can part it either way. So first what you want to do is you want to go back about 3 or 4 fingers from the front hairline. And that's where you want your front angle and your bangs to start. So you just want to section off the front part of that wig. So as you can see, my parting just kind of landed right where the lace ends and the foundation starts on the sides. Your wig might be different depending on who makes it, so kind of judge for yourself and see how much hair you want to remove. I don't want my angle to be too crazy short or anything. I'm going to use parts of the block as kind of a guide. So if you kind of want it to hit about where your nose is, you'll think your nose is a little lower than where your ear is, where the wig line will end. So if you want it to kind of hit your nose, you want to aim a little bit below that. Oh God. What you want to do to start your front angle is you're going to take your center part and you're going to split your wig down the middle like that. You're going to start in the front part of the wig. You're going to start in your center front. You're going to make a line all the way back to where your parting stopped. Then you're going to come diagonally forward to about where the hairline curves back in. So you want to take a diagonal section like that. So this is a triangle. You can see that it's a triangle shape parting. It's not straight, it's triangle. What you want to do is you want to mimic that shape onto the other side. And you want to make sure that it's even. And I'm using my computer as a mirror, which is not good because it bursts everything. So there you go. So I personally like to use thinning shears when I cut wigs. I had a friend tell me that when you're cutting a wig, you should always use thinning shears so you don't get straight lines in your wig, and I kind of agree. So for my front angle, since I said I'm going to make it long, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to comb this hair straight down, basically like you would be cutting bangs, because that's basically what you're doing at this point of the front angle, is you're cutting bangs. It's also better to leave it a little bit long, because then you can always fix it when it's on your face. If you cut it too short, wigs don't grow, so you're going to have to buy a new one. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to aim for this piece of tape right here. This is 23.5. And that is where I am going to cut my wig. Now, I'm using thinning shears, so I just kind of go back and forth a couple times, and then it's gone. And then there's the hair, and then you want to drop it. Boop. So then I'm going to do the same thing over here. Now, generally, when you cut hair, you're supposed to cut under your comb. You're supposed to cut under your comb and under your fingers. But when I'm cutting like the front of a wig, I like to cut over just so that I can make sure that it's even. And then you want to comb your hair straight down with not a lot of tension, and you want to make sure that it's straight. As you can see, mine is straight, so I'm good to go. Next step, center part, comb it back to where it would sit off the face. Okay, so as you can see, that's a big disconnection, but I'll show you in a minute how you fix it. I'm going to take my straight razor. This is just a safety razor by Frome. And what you want to do is you want to take your center part and you want to comb the hair back to pretty much where it sits. So you'll see it sits about here, and you should be able to see that little tail right there. you want to take your razor, and this takes some practice. So you might want to practice on some extra track hair or a busted wig you have in a closet somewhere. Don't want to try this the first time on something you love. This is something you want to try on a wig that isn't really going to be worn a lot or ever again. So you want to start, see how that's starting to puff out? That's where you want to start with your razor, and you just want to razor straight down, and you want to go angle it back just a bit so that you can get that front angle into the hair. Now, as you see, I kind of missed a big chunk right there with the razor, so I'm going to go back, and that happens, especially with a wig that's this thick. You sometimes you'll run, and sometimes you'll realize that you missed a big chunk of hair, and you'll hear like it's kind of like making a ripping sound, and that's kind of what a razor does. It kind of just slices through that hair. And usually I do my angle a couple times just to make sure that I get it right. And see how that kind of just blended out, and you got a nice little shaping right there in the front. You have some shorter pieces where it goes into the longer pieces. So that's one side. And I'm going to go in and fix this again with my thinning shears in a second, but I just wanted to show you guys the overall shape. So then when you get over to your other side, it's the same thing. Now, whichever side you use to write with is going to be the side that's actually going to be easier. So now I'm on the left side, so this is going to be the right side, so this side's actually going to be a little harder for me. So you kind of just want to go in with your razor again, and you really just, especially with synthetic, just get in there really good with that razor and just razor it off. Now you want to use a safety razor, because as you can see, I'm going in it with my hand and I'm hitting the razor on my hand. You don't want to go in with a straight razor unless you really, really, really know what you're doing, because you can slice the crap out of your hand. So again, just going to go in again and do the same thing. And as you can see, I'm pushing back. I'm not going straight down. I'm pushing back into it, and what that's doing is that's giving me that angle and that layerage right there in the front that I needed. Much like that. So you can see this is a lot thinner and a lot less dense here in the front. It's a lot more flattering. So now that you did it with the straight razor, you want to go back in with regular shears now. And I kind of just like to point cut where I need it to kind of end up. Now you kind of want to go in with your, again with your regular shears, and you just kind of want to point cut into it to kind of give it more of a definite shape. Because when you go in with the razor, especially on synthetic, a lot of times it's really hard to get that angle nice and crisp, because synthetic hair is tough to cut. So as you can see, I have a nice angle, and it's flipping back off the face right now, which is exactly what I want. So now I'm going to come over to this side, and I'm going to do the same exact thing. I'm going to just point cut where I think I need it. And a lot of times I point cut and kind of follow my hand down like that. And as you notice, I was holding my scissors wrong. Don't judge me. And these scissors are dull, so I'm going into the hair a lot. I'm going into the hair a lot more than I generally would, because these scissors are kind of dull and old. You never want to use good scissors on synthetic hair, because synthetic hair will dull the crap out of your shears. So there you go. Nice, pretty wave like that. Now you're probably looking at this and you're thinking, hey, there's such a big disconnection between this part and this part. How do I fix this? So, thinning shears. What you want to do is you want to take your center part section, and you want to comb it out away from the head like this. I like to point cut with my thinning shears like this. So I'm cutting into that, and I'm making it a lot less blunt and a lot more natural looking. So as you can see already, that's blending in a lot better. And then what I'll do is I will comb all of the hair up, and you can see where you have a disconnection, where the hair is a little longer, and I will just snip that off with the thinning shears like this, kind of by dragging it through. And that's how I get it to angle in perfectly every time, just like that. And then you want to continue that shape, because I just did that in the middle section. Now you want to continue that shape down towards the ends, like that. Ta-da! And then usually I will comb up the ends of my bangs, and I point cut them even deeper with my thinning shears just to give me a little more shape and not as much blunt thickness of the bang. And then you get a nice angle like that. So now I'm going to do this side so you guys can see again. I comb it out, and I'm just going to point cut in there with my thinning shears. And you can go deep because thinning shears aren't going to make straight lines. So you can take a little more out than you think you should, and it'll actually make it a lot more textural, and it will make it look a lot better. So now I'm going to go back through again, and I'm going to kind of thinning shear down my angle like I did on the other side. And you always want to kind of shake out your thinning shears because the hair will get stuck because synthetic hair is heavy. And then again, you want to just texturize that middle section just to kind of make it mix a little better. Much like that. And then I also like to usually comb this all forward to see where I need to thin out a little more. And I usually just drag my thinning shears through it. And if I need to, I'll go back in and I point cut into it like that with my thinning shears. And that's just how you're going to get that nice blended, feathered look in the front. It's kind of just by going in with your thinning shears and chopping it. Because you're not making straight cuts, you're making notched cuts. So see how much more natural and fun and flirty that is with all of that layering right there? It just is so much cuter, right? Okay. So then the last step is just to make sure that you're even. So you want to go from your center section and you pull out, so that's even. And then you kind of want to go in the middle section here and pull out and make sure that it's even. It is. And then you want to pull down and make sure that that's even as well. This side's a little denser and longer, so I'm going to take a little more out from over here down towards the bottom of the guy. There we go. I think that's much better already. So I'm just going to go in with my thinning shear again and just kind of notch it out and kind of pay special attention to the ends because that's the part that you have to match it. So okay. So that's how you do the front part of adding an angle to a wig. So now you're going to take the back down out of its clip. And you want to make sure that you brush it, again, thoroughly, keeping in mind your center part. So you just want to make the connection between your front angle and this piece down here. So you can see here's my angle, the end of my angle, and the hair length is down there. So what I'm going to, excuse my really messy work table behind me, so sorry, Gers. So then you just want to go through with your thinning shear again. And I just like to thinning shear off just with little tiny open and closes. And that's just going to give you a nice blended angle. You can already see how much better that looks than that just flat straight that it had before. And then the same on the opposite side. This side doesn't have as much of a disconnection as that side did though. This side blends in a lot better. It's because I'm righty. So you just want to kind of go in there thin it out like that. That's how you add a front angle, a little bit of a fringe, and some angle to a wig. So now what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to style her for the weekend. Now, since you'll notice the curl on this wig, this side curls back and this side curls front. That's because if you look at the back, the curls all go this way. So this side's going to go away from the face, this side's going to go towards the face. That's just how the curls are made. A lot of wigs are like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play that up, and I'm going to bring all the hair over into like a half updo. You'll see in a second. And then I'm going to recurl the front and the bangs to kind of mess into that. So I'm actually going to be using a curling iron today. I know you guys are shocked that I'm using a curling iron on a wig. But this is iron safe hair. I will say it once, I'll say it a million times. Do not use a curling iron at all on synthetic hair unless it says that it's iron safe and you know that it's iron safe. And when you start with a curling iron, you always want to start in the back, and you want to make sure that the iron that you have is on the right temperature. Now, since this wig didn't come with a temperature guide or anything like that, I just decided to put my curling iron on almost the lowest setting. It goes to up to this is a Hot Tools. It goes up to 430, and I have it at about 300 right now. As you can see, the knob is over there. So you always want to start in the back, and I like to take a section in, like, not on the back, but I like to kind of take one in the middle back just to make sure that my iron isn't too hot. And so I like to kind of start on the ends just to make sure if the ends get fried, I can cut them off. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to recurl this section, and I'm going to put it in a clip. Now, when you do, usually what I do is I like to do like a Marcel curl. So I like to start on the end and kind of I like to start at the root and Marcel up. But with synthetic, it doesn't really work like that. You have to start at the end and roll. Because if you do the Marcel, you'll stretch out the curl you just put into it every time you click it. That's set for about 20 seconds or so. So you kind of want to turn the iron a little bit just to loosen it. And the curl will just come out perfectly in your hand. Now, what I like to do, and I've had a lot of people ask me about curling ironing with synthetic, with iron safe, and they're like, it just makes it straight, it just makes it straight. The key is pin curl clips. And you just want to pin curl clip right there and let it cool. Because what's happening when you're curling ironing is you're melting and you're heating up that synthetic hair. If you just let that curl go, it's going to fall straight, of course. You have to clip it up and you have to let it cool. Like that. Sometimes I'll let it cool in my hand, but usually if I clip it, it lasts a lot longer. So I'm actually going to leave that pin curl in there for a little bit just so that, you can also take a blow dryer on cool and blow the curl until it's cool. And then you'll see now that I have a curl. You guys saw that that was straight 2 seconds ago from the iron, but now that I went back in and I clipped it up, it's curly again. Awesome. So now after you do your test strand, you want to move to the part of the wig you want to curl. Now, since this wig I'm doing with a side part and I wanted like a swoop bang, I am going to part it on the side. And this side I'm really not going to bother with because this side is all going to get twisted back off to the side so that I have just a big mass of hair on one side of my head. So right now I'm just going to clip that hair up out of the way. So what I'm going to do is, since I want this to wave up and then down, I'm going to do the whole thing diagonally back this way like I showed you guys before. If you use diagonal sections on synthetic, it's much easier to hide your partings. So take a diagonal section, so pretty much from the part forward. And you don't want to take really big sections with synthetic because you don't want to run the risk of it not setting. So I'm actually, there's that little kink in the front of this wig. I don't know why, but I'm just gonna kind of iron that just to kind of help it go away. And then in this kind of instance, I'm gonna start at the end And then you can see I have my tail, so I'm going to wrap it down a little bit, and I'm just going to marcel that tail in there. Just like that, and then I'm going to roll it down. I'm going to take the iron out carefully because you do not want to disturb that curl at all. And since I'm doing barrel curls, it's basically going to sit on top of that section of hair like a roller, just like that. And I like to pin from both sides. You don't have to. So you can see it's going diagonally back this way. So I'm going to do my next section now, which is right here, again, diagonally. This section is much more even length. So I can start at the end, and I can roll it up, and then roll the synthetic hair down. Now usually I would just hot roller something like this, but since the hair is shorter and I've been getting asked about curling irons on synthetic hair, I figured I would do a little toot. I'm going to wait until the outside of the hair gets hot. And then I like to just take a comb like this, and I kind of hold that comb against the barrel curl, and that will hold it in its shape until you can grab a clip and clip it down. Just like that. Now, since I'm getting into this portion where I want it to kind of swing back, I'm going to make even more of a diagonal part so it's almost vertical, but not quite. And if this one has some straight pieces, I'll just let those fall into the back of it because the way the curl pattern is, it'll be fine. So then you want to let it go. Use that comb to hold that hair in. There we go. Now these two last pieces, I'm going to take those and they're going to go vertical. That comb gets here. So while that cools, I'm going to show you guys the rest of this faux updo. So now what I like to do, I've done this style a lot and it works really well. It gives the illusion of having your hair all swept over to one side, except you don't have to worry about bobby pinning it down or anything like that because you use hidden ponytails. So what you want to do is the heavy side, the heavy side is the side where your hair will fall. You want to take that hair from about the back of the crown and you want to come diagonally down like that towards the front. So you're going to notice I have a little bit of the hair here, and I'm going to kind of pop that out because I need that later. So now that hair's back there, so I'm going to take this hair here, I'm going to clip this up. So now that I'm back over here, I like a little fullness around my face. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to give it a little tease right at the root, just with a little bit of brush action. You don't need to get your teasing comb out. You don't need it to be too sturdy of a tease. And also, I'm going to have a hat that sits right on the part of this. So if it's not quite as full as I normally go, it's fine. The hat kind of hides it. And remember what I said about not going, in my other video, about not going too far behind? Because if you take all of this hair from back here, you're not going to have anything to hang. So then I'm going to just spray it with a little bit of my Pump It Up spritz. And then I'm just going to smooth out that top layer of hair. And I like to make sure all my hair is back. But if you want to leave like a little curly Q or anything like that, you can. Actually, I might, just to kind of hide that. There we go. So I want to put a clip just to hold that in place. And then what you want to do is you want to take all of the rest of the hair, all of this, pretty much the rest of the wig. You don't have to match the color of the hair with the ponytail holder, but I happen to have a purple one. So you're going to brush all of that hair over. Now I don't like to make this super tight because I still like it to have some movement, and especially because I have a big head. Then what you want to do is make your ponytail as close to the corner of the wig as you possibly can. Now I like to make my ponytails tight just so that they don't move, but you can see that ponytail is pretty much right above this little notch, so it's actually a little high, so I want to bring that down. Because basically that ponytail is going to sit right here, and the hair is going to hang right over your shoulder, so you don't have to worry about it. Couple bobby pins. I'm just using small matte ones right now. And I just like to bobby pin through the hair elastic into the wig like that. And usually what I like to do is I like to take one from either way, and I like to kind of crisscross them like that. So that basically you're anchoring that ponytail to the base of the wig. And then if you want to, I usually do, just because it looks more finished if anybody comes up behind you or you flip upside down, I like to cover that ponytail holder with hair, just a little nice strip of hair like that. And then again, just take a bobby pin and you just want to kind of secure it into the foundation of the wig. And now I didn't really hide that tail because the rest of the hair is going to cover it. Doing this on the side, you always want to make sure that when you pull the hair back, you don't see foundation. So for me, I had to let a little more hair out underneath. So comb it. Got a little bit of that volume right there. And then if it's a little lumpy or it's not quite even enough, just take your tail comb and you can kind of lift that hair out to give you just a little more body right there. And then usually what I do is I kind of just like to make this blend in to the back as best as I possibly can. Now with this wig having an angle now, that's going to make it a little more difficult. But nothing a little spray and a dream can't fix. So now that this hair is all over here, I'm going to have to anchor it down as well. Now sometimes I will use this hair to cover my ponytail with, but today I didn't do that because I didn't think it was going to be long enough. So, and I'm using blonde bobby pins so you guys can see them. So you can see where I kind of latched it in right there. And now you can see all of this hair now curls back off the face instead of forward. So now that that's all done, you want to take this whole side down And then basically what you've created is an over-the-shoulder, half-off faux updo that just looks like your hair is pulled over to one side, like that. So now I'm going to take these pin curls out and we'll see how it turned out. I'm actually going to tease up this bang just a little bit to give it a little more height because every drag queen should have some tease in her hair. So now that this has set a little bit with that spray, I'm just going to gently comb out the front layer and this part here so that I can blend her all down into my wig. So I just wanted a little bit of a bang just like that, just so I can give myself my little Bernie bang. And then I will just kind of take the ends of this and I just kind of flip them so that you get that nice angled look in the front. You just want to make sure you brush it back. Then my hat's probably also going to flatten this out a little bit too. So maybe if I make it a little flatter just to start with, it'll be better. Then I like to just go in and I like to comb the curl around my hand just to kind of reshape the memory that's in it. Just like that. And then you'll get that nice billowy blowout look. Well, yeah. That's how you create a very easy side swept little do with a little fringy bang. Ta-da! Just want to give it one little final spritzy. And spritz maybe over here a little bit. There we go. Okay, and here she is all on me. I was looking at it on the block and I wasn't quite sure how it was gonna look, but I really love it. I love the color and I think the style looks so beautiful and I love this little dip in the front and it gives me a little bit more of a modern look because I'm usually such a vintage retro girl. It gives me a little bit of more of an updated look, but I still have, you know, my signature wave and all of that stuff that I adore. So yeah, if you guys, I'll turn a little bit to the side so you guys can see what's going on. And I have to kind of separate out these curls anyway, actually, because I just kind of jumbled it all together. But and I decided to keep the hanging curl because I think that it gives me interest on this side, and then also I have boys sideburns that are kind of semi-hidden by the lace and the wig, but you can see it a little bit right here. So that also helps because I am a man and they're designed for women, so I have a much bigger head than they're probably supposed to go on. But yeah. And yeah, so I think it's a very simple style, but I think it's really pretty. And you can do this on real hair, you can do this on a wig. You can also switch it up so you can put this up into like a chignon or a knot or something. And I also build most of my updos around a ponytail, at least one, sometimes 5 or 6 throughout the head. So just kind of think of that principle, being able to anchor and being able to pin into something. And that's what you want to build your updos on. So thank you guys again for watching. Please add me on all the fun social media stuff down in the box. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, or anything that you would like to see in a future bobby pins video, please let me know, and I would be glad to help you guys out. So I'll see you guys next week. Bye. Julie's. Oh, I'm still recording.